Let's get into What's Up, Doc. That's where we spend some time with the experts from Mercy Health. We learn something new each and every week, and this week promises to be just like that. We'll walk away having learned things we didn't know before.
Promise.
We're going to talk infectious diseases, vaccine, and children, and we're going to spend some time with Dr. Abbie Spiers, and she is on the line with us right now. Dr. Spiers, good morning.
Good morning.
How are you this morning?
I'm well. How are you guys and gals?
Well, we're very good. I understand that you have some accompaniment for today's interview?
Yes, I'm here with my 9-month-old Lola, and we're excited to talk about vaccination in adolescents.
Okay. Yeah, well, adolescents, hopefully for, what you're dealing with there is a little ways off. But, down the line, it'll be the fun part of the mother-daughter relationship. Hey, let's talk a little bit about you. First off, tell us about you.
Well, I am an infectious disease specialist at Mercy Health in Rockford, as everyone knows. And I guess I live in Elmhurst with my husband, who is a scientist at Northwestern University. And we recently welcomed a little girl into our life and are very much enjoying parenthood.
One of the screening processes I put all our doctors through to make sure I approve of you is to find out where you did your undergrad. So where did you do that?
Oh, okay. Yes, I did. I'm from the East Coast. I am from near Buffalo, and so my parents did not want me to travel far from home, and they were huge fans of the Cleveland Indians, so they essentially forced me to go to Case Western for my undergrad.
All right. Well,
in Cleveland.
If they were paying, you didn't have much of a choice.
Very true, and I don't blame them one bit, and in fact, I thank them.
All right.
That's a good idea. That's a good idea. Speaking as a parent who has funded a college education, we always appreciate that. Hey, thanks, Mom and Dad thing. That's always nice to hear. All right, let's talk a little bit about infectious diseases, which is your specialty, and vaccine in kids. How safe is that COVID vaccine for kids who are between 12 and 17?
Yeah, so that's, I think, the question that's on every parent's mind. And I think we can feel very, very, very reassured that the vaccine is incredibly safe. So we'll start off just discussing the safety parameters that were revealed in the actual trial, the Pfizer trial of adolescents. There were about 2,000 adolescents in that trial. Roughly half of them got the vaccine and half of them did not. Approximately 6% of those who got the vaccine experienced an adverse event, but on close evaluation of these adverse events, none of them were determined to be related to the vaccine. So absolutely nothing serious occurred in the trials that would make us shy away from this vaccine. And young persons, and in specific, I wanted to cover that in view of recent media attention, that there were no reports of blood clots, there were no serious allergic reactions, no anaphylaxis, and no Bell's palsy, because these are things that have come up a lot in terms of things that we're seeing in adults. So again, no blood clots, no serious allergic reactions, and no Bell's palsy. So we're going to expect children to have about the same type of injection site reactions as adults, and the same kind of flu-y symptoms, maybe some headaches, some fatigue, just not feeling like they want to do their usual daily activities after the vaccine. But other than that, there have been no safety flags so far. And I also wanted to point out that at this point, as of June 7th, over 300 million doses of the COVID vaccine has been given in the U.S. Starting in December 2020 through now, and that their safety has been rigorously evaluated in tens of thousands of participants in clinical trials, and then millions of others who we would have seen a safety flag. So I think we can feel very reassured and safe with this data.
Doctor, you have boots on the ground in the vaccine world. The anti-vax community's been around for a bit. I'm sure there's strong overlap in those that don't want to get just the regular boosters for the kids and the COVID. But have you noticed a new group of parents that don't want to get the COVID that were okay with the normal vaccines?
Yeah, I feel like, unfortunately, it feels as if, and I don't know if this is just kind of a magnifying glass on the current problem that we're facing here in the U.S., but that there seems to be a pretty strong anti-vax movement now, and it has a lot to do with safety concerns that parents have, and I can 100% completely understand that because I had to make the tough decision about whether or not I wanted to get vaccinated myself while I was pregnant with my child. And I can assure you that, as a physician and a mom, I went through the data. I pored over the data with a very fine-tooth comb looking for any reason why I should worry about harming my child. And I can assure you that I found none. And I, was safely vaccinated. I was safely vaccinated during my pregnancy, and I would vaccinate my children, and I recommend vaccination to my friends and family who have children who are of the appropriate age.
What do you say to people who ask if COVID vaccines are really needed for kids, since they are, we've been told anyway, are less likely to develop a severe illness with it?
Okay, so this is a really, really great question, and I'm really glad that it was included today because the pandemic has changed. So at the beginning of the pandemic, it was uncommon for children to become infected. We're talking 0.3% of new infections. Now, children make up a full 20 to 24% of new infections. The virus has changed. The variants are different. And not only that, we're not only talking about infection of children, which tends to be very mild. So you would say, well, why do I need to vaccinate my child if they're only going to have a mild cold-like illness? Well, if I could convince any parent, it would be this horrific multi-system inflammatory syndrome that afflicts children. And now that we're seeing more infections in children, we're going to see an increase in multi-system inflammatory syndrome just based on logistics alone. And that this is a horrific thing for a child to go through, and it can cause liver, kidney, lung injury and damage, require a child to be on a ventilator. I mean, just things that no parent wants for their child and can be. And by the way, I wanted to point out at this point how effective the vaccine is in adolescents. In the trial of 2,000 adolescents, there were 0 cases of COVID in the adolescents who had received a vaccination. So what better protection could we ask for? 100% efficacy.
I think people understood why the original cutoff date or cutoff age for the vaccine was 18. I mean, that's adulthood and whatnot. But now we always hear the window 12 to 17 is safe now. Why is it? Why are we recommending this for 12-year-olds, but 11 or 10-year-olds are they not ready for it? Are they not of concern? Why are we stopping at 12?
Yep, we are only stopping at 12 because that is where kind of our scientific data cutoff has landed us at this point in the pandemic. And I can also tell you that in younger individuals, it will require a kind of reformulation of the vaccine in terms of dose, and that these trials are underway. And we will likely be able to vaccinate children younger, and Pfizer and Moderna are both currently enrolling children as young as 6 months, so infants even, in trials in the hopes that we'll be able to, kind of vaccinate 6 months and above and include all of those ages of children kind of before the start of the new academic year. At least that is what a press release from yesterday stated. So kind of exciting news there.
All right. Now with kids comes then the inevitable school question. Now, do you figure these vaccines are likely to be mandated for kids for school entry?
Ooh, yeah. So that's a tough question, and I am actually thankful that I'm not someone who has to make that one. I haven't heard anything formal from either the American Academy of Pediatrics or the CDC on mandates for vaccination prior to entry to school. But I guess if I could speculate, I wouldn't be surprised if it did happen. But again, we'll see how things shake out.
Yeah, doing a quick scan here. American Academy of Pediatrics has not yet made a public stance on mandates for schools yet. So that's probably why the information hasn't come down. Haven't really picked a side to stand on that one yet.
Yep.
All right.
So, and then if I could just touch on one other thing, which is that, the COVID pandemic has had a toll on people's health and physical well-being, but that particularly in children, we've seen how much of a toll it has taken on their mental and emotional health. I mean, this isn't, this is not a subjective thing anymore. We have objective information, showing that children are suffering in isolation. They're not able to, perform their usual fun activities, play with friends, and that, vaccination will allow children to remain both free of disease and also promote safe return to, activities that are beneficial to their mental and emotional well-being.
Outstanding.
So,
oh, well, all right. Doctor, is there anything along this topic that, you were hoping, gosh, I was hoping those guys would ask me this, but they didn't, that we would like to get out there for people to know?
No, I think we covered all the major topics. Yeah, I think we're good.
Good. I'm glad to hear that. We hate having a doctor walk away from one of these interviews and tell all the other doctors, gosh, those guys are disappointing.
Right.
No, that's not going to happen.
All right, good. She'll find another word to use for it. Dr. Spiers, thanks a lot for taking time out of your day. We thank Lola for being along for part of it as well. I hope you have a great rest of your day and a great weekend, too.
Yeah, thank you so much for the opportunity to share my thoughts. And Lola says, have a good weekend and don't forget to wear sunscreen.
There you go. That's a good piece of advice right there. That's Dr. Abbie Spiers from Mercy Health.